we forgot about Z, and because of that city cable loan issue, Z has taken a knock of about 6.5%. So that's something which I would like to bring out for our viewers. KK joins us now to talk about markets and what we should expect from earnings season this quarter, and how should one now understand the lay of the market ahead of the presidential elections. So KK, good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to keep it open. What do you want to start with? US presidential election and how it could make everyone uncertain, or earnings season which is now which has now started with a bang after TCS numbers?
Good morning, Nikunj. I think there are very high expectations as far as the festivals rather than the earnings season. I think the earnings season, based on the high frequency data and some of the data which many of the companies have, initial data which many of the companies have shared, I think numbers would be good. That is across sectors, I would imagine. And we have also seen one of the IT majors, the way the numbers have come out. So their expectations have also got set. I think it is all about festival sales pick up as far as the domestic facing stocks are concerned. That would be what investors would be keenly looking at. And I heard that you were mentioning about earnings expectations versus whether the stock prices will participate post the earnings coming. My sense is that whenever there are sharp dips or upticks in earnings, analysts are normally behind the curve. So despite stock prices having run up generally across the board, I have a feeling that the results or earnings which will come from many of the companies could surprise analysts on the positive, and there should be more upgrades than downgrades. That should be from a domestic perspective. Now, as far as the US presidential elections, etc. are concerned, my sense is that sitting so far away, we don't have too much of a grip on what will happen and how it will impact. But the only underlying theme that I understand is that with the kind of spat which is continuously happening between US and China, so India has a very important place as far as the US and the Western world is concerned in terms of how to combat China. So my sense is that if we play that game properly, then I think we should be benefiting out of whoever comes in terms of the US presidential elections, and we should be able to attract more and more capital from that country.
Kiki, I'll take the clock back and talk about interaction which we had a couple of years ago, and you said that look, markets are a forward-looking mechanism, and if economy is bad and if markets are going higher, I would bet on not the economy but markets in order to understand the future. Right now economy is not great and stock prices are going higher. So what are markets telling you? I mean, are we somewhere underestimating demand, recovery and earnings growth, or this market is only going up because of liquidity, and one day we will realize that buying a market based on liquidity is always a dangerous thing to do?
So Nikunj, I think as market investors, broadly what we are dealing with is the organized sector. I mean, the companies which are possibly the number one, number two, number three in whichever sectors they are performing. And we are clearly seeing that the big is becoming bigger. So the GDP growth, etc., those numbers are bad. But who's getting impacted? It is probably the smaller companies or the smaller, medium, small enterprises, etc. They are the ones who are more impacted. The big to increase their market share, even if the overall market is decreasing in their chosen segments. So my sense is that all of us have been trained to think that GDP and capital market should be correlated, but that correlation is no longer valid in terms of because of the reasons that I explained to you. So I think what we have seen in the last 3-4 months is not only a function of the increasing liquidity in the global and the local ecosystem, but also the realization that the listed corporates, they have the wherewithal to be able to survive these challenging times and also grow because of the capabilities that they have developed. And that is reflecting in the stock prices.
So KK, if the nature of the economy is such that every sector is getting consolidated, every every small business is getting crunched down. Mid and small cap stocks are suffering. So then are we looking at a market where at max 150, 200 stocks will matter? Because if the shape of the economy, like you said, that bet on the survivor, which is mid and small cap companies will suffer, MSC and SMEs will suffer. So that just rules out any kind of an huge bull run or a huge earning wealth creation in small and mid cap stocks then.
No, I don't agree with you, Nikunj, on that. I think to talk about mid and small cap companies in one stroke would not be the right way to look at them. I think it would be very, very bottoms up kind of investing which needs to be attempted as far as the mid and small caps are concerned. Within the mid and small cap, many of these companies, by definition, they are addressing very, very niche sectors, and the leaders in those sectors. If the sectors are doing well and the companies are in terms of good shape, in terms of their finances, etc., then they could certainly create a lot of wealth. In fact, if you look on a 3-year basis, the overall mid and small cap indices are still struggling in terms of underperformance versus the large cap indices. What we have seen is that there has been some amount of outperformance which is there in this current calendar year. And my take is that if the overall economy recovers, then possibly the wealth creation which could happen in the small and mid caps could be much more bigger. What I said is that we should be investing in the leaders that we believe can make it to the next level or can survive. And that could be across market caps. So effectively what we are talking is a very bottoms up kind of an investing, because macros, it's very easy to always say glass half full or glass half empty depending on what is your basic nature.
Okay, it's all about IT post TCS, and that was, anyway, a commentary that really took the markets by storm. We're watching out for Wipro this week, also on buyback news. All the other IT heavyweights also set to report earnings, so it's going to be a big bang week for IT. What's your view on the prospects for the sector, the specific pockets of opportunity, even in the mid-tier names, and how much more scope there is to move now?
So we have been very positive and enthused about this sector, and the numbers disclosed by the IT major in the last week only reiterates, plus the commentary coming from the management about the multi-year opportunities which they believe the IT sector could see because of first migration to cloud, and then further because of that whatever requirements are there for various companies. So, and this is one segment which is more global facing than local, with a huge amount of cash conversion in terms of profits, in terms of the EBITDA, etc. So my sense is that a sector which is having such good tailwinds should not be looked at from a very short-term perspective. Yes, some of the stock prices have moved up, but from a 2-3 year perspective, can we make 15-20% compounded returns? I mean, the odds are very much in your favor. And please understand that with interest rates being what they are, the discounting that these companies can temporarily attract can be much more than what they have historically attracted. So we are very, very positive on the opportunities in this sector. And it is not only amongst the IT majors, but even the second tier companies which have their own niches. They will also continue to have very good tailwinds, and they should also deliver good returns.
Sure. Okay. And what about pharma? Because the reason I also ask is a couple of these pockets have already seen strong performance despite the troubled times we're in, clearly outperforming and having benefited from the kind of demand that we've seen over the last few months. Valuations when it comes to some of the pharma names, to you, are they starting to look a little stretched? Would you still be investing continuously with an eye on these really becoming outperformers, further outperformers, let's say, down the line?
So I think in pharma, every company will have to be looked at from a bottoms-up perspective. Many of these companies have a decent and a very strong domestic business. Some of them have very strong in the US generics, APIs, etc. So my take is that the API manufacturers, they should be having further run in terms of their ability to deliver returns. I think they should do very well. Then apart from pharma, obviously healthcare and diagnostics those are the other sectors which should be part of the whole healthcare pack that one should be looking to invest in. So yes, there has been a decent run-up. I think there could be some pause, but again, as I said, that the sector is coming out of a lot of consolidation or correction. I think only last 1 year we have seen that things have turned better for the pharma companies, and yes, some of it is getting reflected in the stock prices. So there could be some consolidation post the quarterlies, etc. But from a medium-term perspective, the opportunities for this sector continue to remain robust. But having said that, I think it is important that one does a lot of bottoms-up analysis and then invests in the sector.
Sure. KK, what is it that you're making of, the new issuances which are hitting the market? I mean, starting off from Route Mobile to a Mazgaon, which is slated to list today, there seems to be an investor frenzy for the new paper. And that's also sucking some amount of liquidity from the market. It's also indicative of the fact, the kind of liquidity which is a flush and, wanting to invest into quality names. What's been your reading here?
Yeah, in a very strong capital equity market, what we are witnessing in the last few months, IPOs there will be a frenzy for investing into IPOs, and they will have listing pop-up gains. And whether it is sustainable or not, it will depend upon the fundamentals of the companies over a period of time. But this is again reflective of the sentiment which is very positive. And maybe the merchant bankers have also been very kind with investors and leaving some money on the table. So we have also seen a few issues which have not done so well in the last 2-3 weeks. So sometimes it could be a question of how the pricing has been done. And typically we have seen that these kind of frenzies are the nature of the game whenever the markets are doing well. As far as pulling away liquidity from the system is concerned, I don't think so. These are all leveraged applications, etc., which are made by HNIs, and then the money reverts back. Because the absolute size of the issues of most of the companies which we have talked about are not so big. Collectively also, they are not so big to have pulled away major liquidity from the system.
Sure. KK, are you a little worried that perhaps in the near term we need to now sort of tread with caution, because we're just a month away from the US elections? There is going to be that lot of volatility and churn around around US equities, and that's sure to rub off on our markets as well.
Definitely, I think it is always good to be cautious at all points of time, and investors should never be overboard in terms of their investing or go beyond the limit that they can manage. But having said that, I believe that the performances of various segments of the market in terms of the sectors, there seems to be a huge amount of tailwind. Now you have mentioned about IT, you have mentioned about pharma, I think autos which will come out with their numbers, again they are coming off of cyclical lows, agrochemicals, and now with the whole banking and financial services space also with the kind of monetary policy which was announced on Friday, I think they will also have their own positive impact on many of the stock prices. Probably they have kind of bottomed out. So when you try to figure out which are the sectors to avoid, then the obvious names which are there, which is the hospitality or the entertainment and those kind of sectors which are still impacted, or the public sector where valuations are interesting but there are no stories to sell over there. So there are very few sectors which seem to be having headwinds, and broadly most of the sectors seem to be having tailwinds. In that kind of an environment, I think it's best that investors stay invested and not look at the short-term movements. In fact, 3 weeks ago when markets were relatively weak and around 11,000, 11,200, everybody was worried in terms of the flows and in terms of how markets will correct. And here after 2 weeks, we are talking at 12,000 levels. So I think the environment today is that investors should be looking to invest on every correction and not be very short-term in their approach.
The liberty of constructing a stock specific scenario here. One side you got real high flyers like Reliance, TCS, Infosys, large cap pharma and mid cap pharma. On the other side, you got SBI, deep value, NTPC, lot of value, ITC, no debt and a monopoly cigarette business. Why are we witnessing such parallel trends in the market right now? I mean, I can understand that market is punishing a sector, market is punishing a particular genre of companies, but right now the divide is there within sectors. SBI on one side, HDFC Bank on one side, HUL on one side, Nestle on one side, ITC on the other side. There are a lot of examples in the market like this now.
See, I think it's a question of why stocks are getting discounted the way are is not a function of only what is happening today to those sectors or the immediate prospects. It's all about historical issues that many of these companies that you mentioned that they have gone through, maybe in terms of poor performance, maybe in terms of decision making which is not exactly in line with what is required for minority shareholders. Maybe it's all about capital misallocation over the many years. So, and investors have, when investors have opportunities to invest in sectors or stocks or rather stocks within sectors which do not have such issues and where price performance is in your favor, they would tend to invest in those kind of companies. I mean, it's very good to be a contrarian and value investor, but in an environment where what is expensive becomes more expensive, there is only up to a limit where fund managers can stay invested in these value stocks where value unlocking will happen maybe after 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, nobody has a clue. I think that's where the apathy is, and that's why the reason that many of these value stocks which are in terms of dividend yields, etc., also are very exciting. But then many of these companies were also interesting or in terms of value maybe even 2 years ago. And investors who invested in these companies a few years ago have not only lost capital, but also the opportunity cost to invest in the stocks which were more in momentum and which would have delivered better returns. I think investors are throwing in the towel as far as some of these stocks are concerned.
Talk about two popular stocks where everybody in a sense had a nuanced and a positive view. ICICI Bank and Bharti, they both have got clobbered. What has gone wrong for Bharti? What has gone wrong for ICICI Bank?
See, as far as whenever a trade becomes a consensus trade and every investor in town owns a sufficient of it, then who is the incremental buyer? And if there is any negative news or news which is not in line with what is the expectations, and then you see the kind of price correction which happens. My sense is that as far as the banking stocks are concerned, there was a lot of concern about how NPAs, etc., will pan out. But the early indicators seem to be that many of these banks are in a much better situation than what it was thought to be, A, in terms of capital, and B, possibly the corporate part of their loan book, etc., will not have so many challenges. Whatever challenges will be there will be in the retail part of the portfolio. But broadly, in the environment that we are in, and with whatever comments have been made by the latest RBI policy, looks like the opportunity in the banking financial stocks would be very good. As far as telecom is concerned, my sense is that where the major player in the sector who decides the pricing in terms of tariffs, etc. Now the question is whether they want to earn from telecom or whether they want to earn on the platform that they have created. Now if it becomes a platform earning and not the telecom earning, then the other guys in the sector will struggle, and this is what possibly we are seeing. So my take is that the telecom sector would be a challenging sector. There could be some upticks, etc. But on a sustained basis to invest in a sector where the major players are having different thought processes about how they sector will keep investors on tenterhooks.
Okay. So KK, if you have to construct a, like Ray Dalio says, a all-weather portfolio for next 3 to 5 years, what could be that portfolio composition? Apart from the obvious names, what is that new idea which you've discovered or you're telling your clients to buy where you see that there is scope for a double digit late teens or a return in 20s for next 2-3 years?
So I think the answer is that in the earlier question that you asked me is, see, all the obvious names are very well understood and investors are invested in. But if you are a real investor and you have the appetite for back-ended returns, then some of the stocks that you mentioned in terms of the FMCG sector, etc., which are not delivered and which are available at 4-5% dividend yield, I mean, they could be dark horses which could be part of your portfolio to give you that extra returns. So that's one contra bet that you could possibly look at. Apart from that, I think the way the technology sector is playing out, obviously you have the oil to retail to telecom major that's already invested. I mean, all investors are invested in. But there will be a host. There are a number of stocks in the small cap, mid cap segment, which are also benefiting out of the play on technology and which are disruptive. Some of these stocks should form part of the portfolio because as public market investors, that's the only way you can play the disruption which is happening in the economy. And most of these stocks are part of the unlisted or the PE plays. So these stocks may look expensive, but you should have a few direct internet plays in part of your portfolio.
So much for joining us this morning. Always a pleasure and good hearing from you today.
Thank you very much.